Good morning, and welcome to the Prophetess Podcast. It's your host, Kia Hicks. Stories of the day. Well, I saw an interesting article as I was going through some current affairs, and basically, they got this new documentary on PBS about the devastating fires in the Bronx in the 1970s, and it's called Decade of Fire. It looks back at the history of a crisis that really unfolded in the Bronx in New York City back in the 70s. That's my year. That's my year, my decade. I was a 75 baby. Not that I'm trying to tell my age or anything, but just had to put it out there. But there was like a near constant barrage of different fires that displaced almost 250,000 people and devastated that entire community. So I think that this Decade of Fire takes a closer look at a lot of the stuff with mismanagement, government mismanagement, corruption from the landlords, and redlining to move people out of their neighborhoods. And displacing all those people is definitely an atrocity. So I think back to a time right here in Springfield where we had MGM coming along. MGM, the casino, is now here in Springfield, Mass. And it's not all it piped up to be. You know what I'm saying? Some said, oh, it'll bring jobs. Some say it'll bring, prosperity to the downtown businesses and they'll get more business and bring in more revenue. And there were all these, town meetings, and they were talking about how the money would be split between different towns because there would be more traffic in these areas when the casino opens. And then, of all things, they put this design up, right? So there was a design, an original design on how this casino was supposed to look. Okay, it was originally going to be like a glass tower. You could see it coming on the highway. It was supposed to be an eyesore, supposed to change the skyline in Springfield, Mass. And then, basically, after the Historic Society got involved, and I'm sorry, but I look at the Historic Society as a bunch of people, outdated people at that don't want to progress into the future. They want old infrastructure to stay around forever. And we all know that times have to change, infrastructure has to be changed, and it has to reinforce because we are moving into the future. There's different environmental things that cause, the current infrastructure in its current state that have been sitting around for decades to be more at risk of crumbling, to be more at risk of not having and meeting safety measures of today. So just getting back to my thoughts on that, the design got changed. So now we went from having this nice glass infrastructure, this tower, to having, I don't know, a little level kind of flat line, kind of work its way into all the other historical parts of that South End community structure with MGM. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been to MGM. Okay, there's a lot of, nice things when you go in there, but it's too small and it doesn't connect to any of the other places down there. And that's just part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to connect it. Like, I remember thinking, okay, MGM is coming to town. We are supposed to have this venue now. You know what I'm saying? Not just people gambling or shopping or eating at fine dineries, but this venue for shows, for bringing in A-list celebrities, shows that people can enjoy, that people really have to go over the line to Connecticut to see at the other casinos, because there was no real venue for that here. And that's not to speak for the past of Springfield, because the past of Springfield, there was many venues. You know what I'm saying? It's all been changed. It's all been shut down. You know,
more change, less profit. You know what I mean? But my thing is this, oh, hold up. I don't want my computer to restart. Remind me later. My thing is this. MGM did not fulfill its promises to the people of Springfield, Mass. Okay? They want to talk about the jobs. They want to talk about the money. They want to talk about the advantages. But really, it's a bunch of people that have always been involved before it came to Springfield that are getting all the money. And anybody that works for MGM, unless you're in that top tier of people, of management, some people ain't even making the minimum wage. They're not even meeting the minimum wage. Okay, so all these jobs, 3,000 people from Springfield alone will get jobs, hired and all that. It's not all it cracked up to be, folks. I want to know what you think. I want your comments. Drop a comment. Let me know what you feel about that. But in the process of MGM being built, sadly, a lot of people did lose their placement. The whole map of the South End has changed. You know what I mean? So when I look at articles and I think about this new documentary that takes place back in 1970s when, the Bronx was, having constant fires that displaced almost 250,000 people, and it devastated an entire area. I mean, it can bring me back to many memories of how cities, towns, states even, California, look what's going on in the news right now with California. You know what I'm saying? How that could just change up everything. I mean, my perspective has always been my perspective on things. I sit back and I wonder, why is California really burning? And how is it that, this is happening more and more? Like, what's really going on? What's really good, California? If there's somebody out there from California, please help me to understand this issue a little better, because I'm really lost. I don't even understand it. I know what was going on. I have a theory of what was going on in the Bronx. Because the government, there was some corrupt things going on. And we all know redlining is real, okay? And I'm going to tell you what. There may have been laws put in place that make redlining illegal, fair housing and all of that. But trust me, it's still going on. It goes on in our everyday lives. And it's not even subtle anymore. It's not subtle. I've been in the housing industry since 1997. We're in 2019. Okay? I know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I was at the forefront of a lot of action against and holding politicians accountable when it came to keeping housing affordable, stop the displacing of people, the mortgage crisis that happened, robo signing, people underwater, homeowners underwater, the banks preying on people, giving out loans that they knew people couldn't afford. I was at the forefront of all of that, marching in DC, testimonies. I led 5,000 people on K Street. We shut it down. I went to the ABA, American Bankers Association meeting in Chicago. We shut that down. Oh, well, we didn't shut it down, but we made our presence known. A couple of us was at risk of getting arrested, but we did penetrate the meeting. A couple of us dressed as bankers. I was on the outside along with many, many others, protesting, telling stories. And it did lead to some change, but the change has not gone far enough. And frankly, we need to do more than just march. We got to strive to get in the office, to have more people that look like me and you, that have the same thought process as me and you, run for office. That's when real change will come in. And you know where the other change comes in? Voting. Now, there's a lot of excuses out there about why people may not want to vote in this next presidential election. But there's no excuse, really. Everybody needs to get out and be heard. Everybody has a voice, and people, believe it or not, can shift the outcome of any election. Now, granted, we have a lot working against us. You know, there's rigged elections going on. There's a lot of social media stuff and, you know, foreign governments getting involved and trying to steal our democracy away. But these are the things that we got to keep fighting every day. As long as we know in our mind that it's a threat, then we know what we are up against. We know how the enemy looks. We know how it smells. We know what it does. And we got to do something about it. Are you with me? But yeah, hit me back though about this whole thing, Decade of Fire, the new documentary. I'm not at all advertising for PBS, but I think it's worth watching. And opening our minds to the things that have been going on. Sorry, I got a runny nose. It's that season. It's about 30 degrees outside here in Springfield. But I'm all good. I got my hot apple cider right here. But anyway, we'll talk more. I'm going to leave my thoughts at that. And I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Okay, and thank you for tuning in to the Prophetess Podcast. Have a good day. And remember, God is able.